Hi, I'm Dawn Crossan, owner of the Reston Letter, and this is the Reston Letter podcast. We love writing about our community, but we also love to talk to people. We hope you enjoy listening to the people we write about.
Hi guys, I'm Sabine Soltys, and I'm here today with Fran, the manager of the Reston Farmers Market. Thank you for joining us. It's good to have you here. So I was reading a little bit about how the market first got started with your husband volunteering to help. Could you share with us just a little bit about everything that went into getting it started and the whole process and all of that?
Sure. We came back from overseas. We worked for USAID, and we had been working with farmers in Central America and in West Africa. And we decided when we came back, we wanted to have access to fresh food and local food. And my husband John was on the Reston Association board along with Bob Simon. And they talked about having a market, farmers market, and they originally wanted it at Tall Oaks, and then the grocery store there said no. So we ended up at Lake Ann, which was great because Lake Ann really needed revitalizing at that time.
Yeah.
And that was 28 years ago. So, and then we got in touch with the Fairfax County Park Authority, and they had a program of farmers markets, and my husband was trained by one of their market managers, and we had at the beginning 14 vendors, 4 of whom are still with our market 28 years later.
Wow, that's cool.
And so when he was trained, it was a volunteer position, and he was very excited because it is a very local fresh market.
Right.
We source our vendors all and our farms all from a 125-mile radius. So it's fresh, local, and we help the farmers, we help our customers with healthy product, and so it's a good thing, I think. We enjoy it.
And so you started with 14. How many vendors do you guys have this year?
We have 34, and we have one space open because we're still trying to source a mushroom vendor.
Okay.
And so we usually have 35 now, plus we have other very good things that help with the community. We have a composting service.
Right, yeah.
We have the SNAP program. We work with Cornerstones, and they also provide gleaners to come and pick up all the leftover produce, and that goes to the local food bank. So, and we also have a group of people that are master gardeners. And so if you have any questions about what's growing in your yard and why it has problems, then you come to our master gardeners.
I like that. I feel like that's very helpful to have. And you kind of like sort of just talked about it there, but is there any other specific things or ways that you've seen the farmers market like grow or evolve over the years where you're like, oh wow, like that's so cool to see this progress or anything like that?
Definitely. We now have music every Saturday.
Yeah.
I had so many musicians come to me and say, oh, I want to play, and we can't pay them, but they can put out a tip jar. And also the fact is the growing season is longer now. We used to start in May and end in October. Now we start the last Saturday in April and end just before Thanksgiving this year. But we've also found that there's a huge variety in our fruits and our vegetables. I don't know how many varieties of apples we have. I don't know how many varieties of tomatoes we have. I think my husband mentioned it in his article, but it's hard to count.
I feel like I saw like some like 30
varieties
it's of tomatoes. I didn't even know there were that many.
And we have heirloom tomatoes. We have an organic vendor now, a farmer. We have organic dairy, which we did not have before. We have a lot of bakers and homemade food that is something we didn't start with. We just started with farmers and orchards.
Right. And
so that's progressed.
That's cool. Well, I love bread, so that's perfect for me. So, what kind of impact do you think the farmers market has had on the local community?
Well, you know, Reston is very iconic. We have neighbors and people that live in Reston who are very much into fresh food.
Right. Yeah.
And to give them a source like the local farms, they're very eager to come and shop. And I think, you know, it's much healthier than, it's got more vitamins in it. I mean, food that travels across on trucks and trains, by the time it gets to us or planes, then it's lost a lot of its goodness. So, and I think also we are providing a source of income for our local farmers, which is important to keep the small farms.
100%, yes.
So that's a big thing in my
Yeah. I think that's really, really cool. And going back to the music part of it too, because you were saying that you know, people were coming to you, I think, about coming to play their music, and so now there's like this live music at the farmers market. Was it all just put together by people expressing interest, or did you hear about other farmers markets doing live music, and like that's sort of where you got the idea? Or,
you know, we started with some young people that came to me, and they wanted to just play. One young man wanted to play his bass fiddle at the farmers market. So we, you know, why not? Go ahead.
Yeah.
And the fact is that it just really grew as our market became more and more successful. And the fact that we couldn't pay them didn't seem to bother them at all, because we have almost 2,000 customers coming through every Saturday, and they leave out the tip jar, and they seem to do very well. So I think that, and it's exposure. Some of our original musicians now have gigs at restaurants, and
that they got from the farmers market.
They got exposure
so cool.
at the farmers market. We have one in particular, Rick Landers, and he has gotten into professional producing of music, and he's done very well too. So it's a good thing.
That's so cool. I did not realize that. Is there like a performer you're especially excited to hear this year, or just all of them?
All of them. I hate to.
I
mentioned Rick Landers because I think he's one that's most professional. He makes up his songs and everything. But we had a fun person, John Melnick, at the market on Saturday. And he sings about the market, he sings about the market managers, makes it up as he goes along.
So do you have a song about you?
Well, I don't think so. He didn't mention me, but he did mention the market managers, and he's a good friend. He's a neighbor. Most of these musicians are local. We do not have any professional, really, musicians there, so they're all locally sourced.
Yeah, which I feel like is great, because you're just giving back to the community and everything. So, what about, are there any new vendors that have come in this year that you are like looking forward to bringing to this community at the farmers market, or anything like that?
Yes, we have 3 new vendors. The fact is that when our vendors are able to enter the market, we only lose about 3 vendors every year for various reasons. And we have a selection of 60, usually, that want to come into the market. So we have to be very careful about selecting them. So this year we do have a Little Austria, who was in the crafts market for a while, but they got into our market. And then we have another new vendor called Bunned Up, and they are doing bao buns, so, which is fun. And the third one I'm trying to remember right now, blank. But at any rate, you only have 3 new ones that have come into the market, and we're still trying to source the mushroom vendor.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Love that.
Everybody loves the mushroom vendor, but he couldn't make it.
And real quick, last thing, what would you say to someone to encourage them to check out the farmers market if they haven't come to it before?
Ooh, yeah. I would tell them, you know, everything's locally sourced. I think that's so important. It's all fresh. All the kitchens are inspected by the Virginia Department of Health. We work through the Fairfax County Park Authority. So every farm has been vetted. We know that they're not selling wholesale. They have grown everything that they sell. So we are a very healthy, well-managed farmers market. And so I think the customer usually is very happy with the
Yeah.
produce and everything there.
I would agree.
Yeah.
So.
At this time, we'd like to take a quick moment to give a big shout out to our amazing sponsors of the Reston Letter. So a huge thank you to Foley Academy of Irish Dance, Oak Hill Psychological Services, Herndon Tech Computer Services, Realtor Connie Hartkey, Hotworks Herndon, Nothing Bun Cakes Reston, Watts Fine Homes, and Sunset Hills Montessori School. We truly couldn't do this without your support, so thank you so much for sponsoring the Reston Letter. All right, and now let's dive back into the rest of the podcast.
Okay, so is there any new and exciting additions to the farmers market that you guys are bringing in this year?
Yes, I did want to mention that we are going plastic-free in the market. We are able to hand out these. It's a set of 5 mesh bags. They're washable, reusable, and the customers that come to our market manager's table, which is right in the middle of the market across from the music, they can get a set of these free. Also,
It's really nice.
the vendors, the mesh bags are like this. The vendors also are supposed to only use compostable bags, which our compost service will recycle. So
Cool.
we have told the vendors they cannot have any plastic bags out, only compost bags. And then the customers will use these bags, and then the county is going to provide us with some of these larger bags, which we at one time funded, that will have logos from the merchants on the plaza. They're going to pay to have their restaurant or their store advertised and help the county pay for it.
That's so cool. Well, I really love the design on that bag.
Yes. And then we also had T-shirts made. We did T-shirts and hats too to advertise the market, and we had them at our farmers market table. These are all sold out. We do have a few hats left.
Okay.
So this is what's new though. No plastic.
I love that. I feel like that's really important. And I feel like that also makes this market unique. Is there anything else about the farmers market that you would say makes it special compared to others?
Well, we've received a number of awards. We have one here. We have Northern Virginia Magazine is going to, this is Virginia Living. They awarded us a couple of years for one of the best farmers markets in Northern Virginia. And then this June we have Northern Virginia Magazine also giving us an award for one of the best. And my husband John, when he retired, he also received this farmers market bell with his name on it.
I think that's so
Used
cool.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he retired after doing 26 years, and now this year and last year we have 7 market managers, and we're doing 3 teams, so everybody
Wow.
only gets about 10 Saturdays where they have to work the market as a volunteer. So it's
Got quite a team there.
yes.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of people that love the market,
Well,
which is good.
yeah, I feel like because there's so many people I feel like that come nowadays, and it's just like this whole experience. So, is there anything else you would like to add that I might not have touched on?
Okay, I do want people to know, because this is a local market,
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning of the year, the end of April, we have only your spring produce and your spring fruits. I mean, we have asparagus, wonderful asparagus. We have all kinds of herbs. We have all kinds of flowering plants.
It smells great.
Strawberries are great there. I mean,
Yeah.
And then we do have farmers that have hoop houses, and so they are able to also produce lettuce and other things that you wouldn't find normally in farmers markets at this time of year. So it's
Love that.
really grown in the number of products we have to sell, and also the variety.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it looks great. I love that you brought us samples, so
Yeah, this is directly from Saturday's market.
that's so cool. Well, thank you
You're
for
welcome.
coming on the
Thank
podcast.
you.
I love
I-
seeing all this.
I enjoyed it, and we'll hope to see you at the market.
Yes, I will be there.
Hey there! So before we get into the second part of our podcast, we just wanted to give you a quick reminder to check out therestonletter.com, where you can read all of our latest issues and dive into the new articles we're adding each week. We love reporting on what's happening in the Reston community, and we want to keep doing it. So if you enjoy what we're doing and want to support us, head to our link tree on our website and click over to the donation page. Every little bit helps, and we appreciate you being part of this with us. Now let's jump back into the final part of the podcast where we chat with Kori, one of the helpers behind the crafts market that sets up right alongside the farmers market. Let's get back into it. Okay, so we just talked with Fran about the farmers market, but that's not all that happens. We also have the craft market. Mm-hmm. So I'm here also today with Kori, who helps out with the craft market. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
So why don't you first start, can you just talk a little bit about, how the craft market started, how long it's been around, like all of that?
Yeah. So the plaza, if you've ever been to the plaza, it's really an ideal kind of setup for having markets on the weekends. And so kind of since the beginning, there's been little versions of it. And then when the farmers market really started kicking off, it was separate, but they were kind of happening at the same time. So, and they're right next to each other. The farmers market's in the parking lot, and the craft market is in that stretch leading up to the lake. So it's really easy to go from one to the other. And then, the last few years especially, we've really tried to make them as sisterly as possible. We work really closely with the farmers market managers. We try to make sure that there's not too fierce competition with the vendors and such. But it's really grown a lot in the last few years especially.
I know with the farmers market, we talked a little bit about how they started, I think it was with 14 vendors, and they grew from there. So how many vendors do you guys have now? Do you know, around, or what you started with versus where you're at now?
It's kind of, again, because it's fluctuated so much, it's hard to say how it started specifically in terms of numbers. But right now, we hover between 30 to 50 vendors.
Okay.
It depends on the day. Unlike the farmers market, where you kind of have to lock in, you commit to every Saturday. The craft market's a little bit more flexible. We have people who do commit to every Saturday.
Right.
We have people who are once a month I can come in, every other week. Some people are I can only make the second half of the summer, I can only make the first half of the summer, which makes it kind of fun because it really does change. Every Saturday you'll have a different experience, different varieties. It can also be a little if you're going in one Saturday looking for someone and they're not there. But it allows you to look at a lot of other options that we have.
Do you have a favorite vendor, a vendor you look forward to seeing? It's totally fine if you don't.
I don't. I also don't like to claim favorites.
That's totally fine.
Probably one of the more memorable ones when I first started going to the market is there's a vendor that sells rock candles.
Yes,
and I thought that was just the coolest, randomest thing I'd ever seen. I had no idea how this guy was able to drill into these rocks and make it a candle, but it was so cool. But that's part of the fun of the craft market, is that you have really expertly created, well done crafts that are just very unique.
I saw that too. I always thought that was so cool. So
oh, man, it's amazing.
So what do you feel the crafts market adds to the farmers market?
I think, again, with that sisterly relationship, it's just a continuation of it. Yes, they are separate, but it's so easy to do your farmer's market round and then just hop over to the craft market and continue on your way to the lake. The plazas are really, I think I mentioned this, a really unique space for the market to happen because there is other stuff. Some farmers markets are in a parking lot out in the wazoo somewhere. Because there's restaurants on the plazas, there's a little bookshop. During the summer there's paddle boating that you can do on the lake. Last year we really started kicking off this little breakfast corner called Little Geneva Breakfast Corner, all the way in the back in front of the fountain, where we just have some breakfast and coffee vendors. And so it's just a really awesome experience to be able to walk through the farmers market and then walk through the craft market to see the lake and the paddle boards and the
it really is a whole thing.
Breakfast thing. Yeah, it's an entire experience.
How, and I guess I know, again, you've said it's fluctuated over the years, but how have you seen, are there any specific ways you've seen the craft market grow or change over the years?
I'll be honest, I haven't been with it as long as Fran.
That's totally fine. That's totally fine.
It's really just been the last 3 to 4 years for me. But I think, just the scope of it has really grown. We're pretty open. Like, we still get applications well into the season to see if people want to come. And so, I think it's just the scope and the diversity of what we actually have that's grown a lot and made it really, really cool.
For sure. I mean, and also, like, going back again to the rock candle guy, too. What are there any other vendors that you guys are going to have this year that you think people might be surprised to find at the craft market, or like a little hidden
I think
they tell people to look out for?
I think all of the vendors can be a bit surprising. We have jewelers, we have clothing sellers, we have a few soap and candle vendors that make really awesome stuff.
Yes.
The rock candle's really cool. We have a few crochet artists who will be there, and we have pottery. I think one of the cool vendors too is olive oil and sesame oil.
Yeah.
There's some vendors that don't, whether it's because of the competition or the product itself, don't quite make the farmer's market cut, and we usually try, if we can, to like bring those in so that they still have a presence there.
Right.
So there's food, there's sweets, there's crafts, there's
a little bit
products,
of everything
gifts.
for everyone.
It's a great gift place. If
Yes.
you're looking for gifts, it's an awesome place to go.
I got something for my mom from one of the craft vendors.
Yeah,
so, are there any future goals or plans that you guys have for the craft market?
I think just to keep growing. Keep bringing people in, keep building community, keep making those connections. That's the beautiful thing about the farmers market and the community that it builds, is it's just people connecting to people, neighbors connecting to neighbors.
I agree. Last thing, is there anything you want to add that I might not have touched on or say about the craft market?
It's a really great experience. If you haven't been before, I highly recommend coming. You can make it a whole half a day thing. It's fun to mosey around. You can get breakfast, go to the bookstore on the plaza, take a paddle boat ride, just make a whole event of it. It's really, really, really great, and the people are really, really awesome and sweet. So
Good way to spend your Saturday.
An amazing way to spend your Saturday.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the
Thank you.
podcast. And I will hopefully be there Saturday. So
Me too.
thank you.